The shooting range. In this episode, pages of history, how the Su-24 was made, tactical briefing, smaller changes in Dance of Dragons, and Metal Beasts, Pakistan's eternal tank. Today we continue introducing the new vehicles of this autumn. Here's another joint production of China and Pakistan, only this time it's a tank instead of an aircraft. Please welcome the premium version of the MBT 2000. It's called the Al-Khalid-I in Pakistan, which may be translated as eternal or immortal. On the outside, it's a typical Soviet main battle tank, but inside, it has some major advantages. The engine compartment hides a 1,200 horsepower engine that provides the vehicle with a good power-to-weight ratio. In an ideal environment, the Khalid can accelerate to 70 kilometers an hour. And while its actual combat speed in off-road conditions is a bit lower, it's still mobile enough to feel comfortable when you move pretty much anywhere on the map. The reverse is pretty nice too, 32 kilometers an hour. Compared to the T-72 family, it's almost supersonic. Another major advantage this Pakistani tank has on its BR is the firepower. On the one hand, it has a 125mm gun with a depression angle of only 6 degrees, which doesn't sound anywhere near impressive. But on the other hand, this gun has a finned discarding sabot round that can penetrate up to 580mm of armor up close. This is the same shell as those fired by top Chinese MBTs, only at a higher battle rating. That means that the Khalid can damage many of its counterparts without even aiming much, but only as long as it makes the shot on time, since its vertical traverse speed is quite disappointing, only 5 degrees per second. It might become a critical factor in a dire situation, like in a duel. The armor of this tank is what you can expect from this battle rating. It has all the typical vulnerabilities: gun mantlet, turret ring, the driver's optics, and the largest one is the lower front plate. Of course, the best survival tactic is avoiding enemy sights altogether, but if you find yourself in a situation where you simply have to take a hit, try to complicate your enemy's aiming and hide your vulnerabilities. Move around as unpredictably as you can. Accelerate, brake, rotate your hull and turret. The Al-Khalid is a great combination of Soviet and Western tanks. It feels equally great in frontline close combat and longer range battles. In the 1960s, the race between aircraft and anti-aircraft systems was near its peak. With new guided missiles, widespread use of radar, and other technical solutions, the militaries and engineers often had to introduce urgent changes or even cancel projects that seemed fail-safe. Any moves had to be planned way further ahead than a single step. This is the kind of environment engineers had while developing the Su-24, a Soviet frontline bomber. The military wanted to replace the strike versions of the Su-7 with a fast, all-weather strike aircraft that would have both a large payload capability and good maneuverability. Parallel to that, several simpler and cheaper models were in the works, like the Su-17, but the future bomber was to become the perfect tool for breaching enemy air defenses. To fit all the required avionics, the engineers had to design a completely new airframe. The aircraft was originally designed with a delta wing, but later received a variable sweep one instead. There were several reasons for that decision. The future frontline bomber needed a good takeoff and landing performance, but also supersonic speed at high altitudes and good maneuverability at lower ones. Another factor was that the head engineer saw the demonstration of the F-111 Aardvark, a new American tactical bomber. The plane made a huge impression at the Paris Air Show and inspired Soviet engineers to rework the delta wing. The new bomber reached the testing stage in the early 1970s. It turned out to be extremely hard to pilot. More than 10 aircraft were lost to crashes during early test flights. Still, the strategic importance of the project was so high that the work had to continue non-stop. In February 1975, after more than 10 years and countless hours of labor, The Soviet aviation finally received a frontline bomber with excellent flight performance, special equipment for traversing enemy air defenses, and major payload capabilities that included guided munitions. The Soviet Union ended up almost never using this plane in its primary mission. The war in Afghanistan had no situation where such an aircraft would be useful, so the Fencer, as it was known in NATO nations, found itself out of work. It was never forgotten, though. The base model was modified to perform new missions. In addition to the bomber role, it could also be used as a reconnaissance aircraft or a communications jammer. The reworked version got the new name of the Su-24M and remains relevant even in the 21st century, still in service with many nations. Its arsenal has received new guided bombs and laser-guided missiles. Its flight range and payload were improved, and the new avionics increased its precision even further. Only one problem remains, one that's been following the aircraft since its very first flights. Even today, its complicated handling often leads to crashes. The Dance of Dragons brought numerous anticipated vehicles and weapons, but there's also a bunch of other changes that might have gone unnoticed. We'd like to talk about the most exciting ones today. You can now create your own custom sights for ground vehicles. If you go to Ground Vehicle Battle Settings and press Sight Settings, you'll see a new configuration menu. It features some pre-made sights for high-rank combat vehicles and a way to create your own custom set for any ground vehicle. You can set up all the available UI elements to your taste, pick a unique color, and position them individually. We've also added a few different backgrounds so that you can test your custom sight, thermal imager, or night vision device UI. We have a few more new customization things for you. The camouflage nets on the Vextra 105 and the T80U E1 can now match the color of the current camo. We're going to add this feature to other vehicles with camo nets in the future. We've also changed aircraft in a similar way. The texture of drop tanks now follows the color of your current camouflage. More than that, user camos too can affect drop tanks and suspended armament now, so feel free to create your new unique combination. With this update, we begin the update process for helicopter damage models. The Ka-52 and the AH-64 are the first to receive new functional internal modules. As for other rotorcraft, their modules are temporarily integrated into the model that calculates overall hull damage. It will be replaced with a more detailed model in the future. In addition to helicopters, new internal modules have been added to many high-rank air defense systems and tanks with autoloaders. We've also improved a few other UI elements in our game. For instance, you can now filter internal modules in the X-ray view of ground and naval vehicles. It might be useful if you want to get a closer look at something deep within the vehicle. Just hide whatever's in the way. When you take off in a recon aircraft of your ship, you can now see a mini-map to help you navigate the battlefield. We've also removed the need to press a key in naval modes to use the tow cable. It's automatic now. If an ally runs aground, a special marker will appear over their vessel, and any ally getting close enough will be able to help them out of that tricky situation. Another change focuses on the suspended armament menu, and our pilots must have already noticed it. Bombs and missiles are now displayed on hardpoints in real time, showing you the new ordnance with each click. It makes the picking process simpler and more visual. To keep it convenient for various screens, you can adjust the size of the armament window. We've also extended the list of available suspended armament for many planes and helicopters. More than 50 aircraft can now boast new munitions. The highlight of this change is the new satellite bombs. In addition to the fresh vehicles, more than a dozen high-rank aircraft got them. And finally, we've extended the new period for vehicles from 14 to 28 days. That's why the freshly added vehicles are still marked with a golden band. With this change, you have 4 weeks to research a vehicle that follows the fresh edition. Tell us what new changes you like the most. We're happy to read your comments. And now it's time we answered some of your questions. The first question was sent by a player called Liam Bell. What prop plane has the fastest firing 20mm cannon? Hello, Liam. Japanese aircraft with the HO-5 autocannons are the fastest. Their rate of fire is 950 shots per minute. LARP asks, what's the best missile on the MiG-29 SMT? Hi, LARP. The most versatile one is the R-77. You can use it for both long and short-range attacks. But the best weapon for dogfighting is the R-73, since its maneuverability is unmatched. Another question comes from Elias Alves Souza. Which is the tallest tank, and where can I use this as an advantage? Hey, Elias. The tallest ground vehicle, if we include the radar, is the South African ZA-35. Although in actual combat, the height of the gun placement is more important. For instance, many wheeled tanks can fire over their allies while positioned behind them. Plasma Shadow writes, what's the propeller-looking white cross behind some German tanks from rank 5 onward? Hi there! This white cross is done with a special reflective paint, and there's a small lamp in its center. It's used for covert group movement when it's dark. And the last comment for today was written by Richard. Try how many tanks the most penetrating shell in the game can kill in a row. Hey Richard, that's a great idea for a round study challenge. See it soon on the shooting range. Thanks! That's it for today. You've been watching The Shooting Range by Gaijin Entertainment, and the next episode will premiere the following Sunday at 4 p.m. GMT or noon Eastern Time. Subscribe and click the bell if you don't want to miss our next videos. Don't forget that you can toss missiles too. Leave a like, share your thoughts and comments, and see you next week.